welcome to Bytes Coders. So, have you ever wondered how Python stores its variables? Not only variables, but how Python stores a list. It's quite different from how other programming languages, like let's say Java or C, does it. But don't worry if you don't know Java or C, you don't need to be confused. We just have to learn how Python stores it, right? So in Python, there's something very special, which is we have one identification number for all the objects that we create, which we can see using this particular function, which is id. Okay, so id is one built-in function of Python. It does not come under any special library, means you don't have to import any library, but it is a default function. That is, it's a built-in function. Okay, I shouldn't say default, but a built-in function. So let's see what is id and how it works. Let's say I want to check the id for the variable a, so I'm just going to write id and a. Obviously I'm working on the shell mode, so I'm writing id, but it's better you put it inside the print function. So I'm going to show you by putting it inside the print function, right? Print id of a. So see, this is just a numeric digit, just some numbers which is associated with this variable a, correct? Now you have to see what happens when I assign another variable b with the same value, that is 9, right? And I'm going to create another variable which is c, and I'll say c is equals to a. Now we are going to check the id for both the variables b and c. What do you think is going to happen? Let's see. So see, interestingly, both the variables here are having the same id, correct? Okay, now let us find out what is the id for c. Again, the id for c is same. So why is this happening? Does all variables or all integer values have the same id? Not really. Let me create another one which is d, and this time you'll find that d is having a different id, right? The last two digits are different. So you know what is happening over here? Python is not creating IDs to the variables but to the integer value. That is, this particular ID is associated with the value 9. Okay, why? Let's say I create another, or let's say I'm just going to change the value for a. We started with a, right? Now I'm going to assign another value for a, like let's say 10. Now, obviously, 10 should have the same ID as D. I mean, A should have the same ID as D. Interestingly, now A and D are having the same ID. So let me tell you this, and please note this, that here, okay, I'm just writing, like here, the IDs are actually for the integers, right? And not for the variables, because see, the moment I change the value of the variable, like it was 9 and now it's 10, so immediately the id is changed. So in case of integer, what happens? The the values which we are assigning to the variables, the variable may change the value, but the id is never changed. So only when you will read books, or when you are learning Python, you'll study this, that integers are immutable. Sometimes students really get confused that how come integers are immutable. We know that, if you have studied further, you would know that tuples are immutable. Means we can't change tuples, or let's say strings are immutable. So it's okay for strings and tuples, ma'am, but we don't understand why integer is immutable. This is the reason why integer is also immutable, because in no way can you change the id for the integer. You may change the value that you are assigning to the variable, because the value is actually stored in the Python's memory, right? The value is stored somewhere, but the variables are just pointing to it. Means whenever you're creating any variable, like let's say I say just put any value like num1. If you say num1 is equals to 10, then see what would happen. let's try to print the id for num1. It's just going to be the same, right? So every time the id is going to be same. Now interestingly, what would happen if we do something like this? Id, and like, is it always for 10? Let's check it out. Like if I do 5 multiplied by 2, we know the value is 10, right? So isn't that really different? I mean, I don't know if you would have expected this, but see, even for first 5 multiplied by 2, the ID is going to come as 10. So, here the numbers are residing in your computer's memory. And Python is using these variables, like let's say, let it be num1, let it be d or a, anything. It is just pointing to it. Like, with one arrow, if you just point to that. And the moment you change your value, like previously you were pointing to 10, but now you're pointing to something else, then its id is changed. So I hope by now it is clear that for integers the ids are always same. So only if you check, if like you check if the values are same or not with is operator, like a is num1, true, right? So the ids are same. If you do a equals to num1, even that is going to be true, right? So in case of integers, it's very interesting that both the is operator and the equal to operator is telling us that this is same, because until and unless the id is same, it's going to be same. But here's the catch. If you assign a value which is higher than 256, like let's say 257, now I'm reassigning the value of a to 257, and again b is equals to 257. Now interestingly, the id for a is this and the id for b is different. Now why is this happening? It is happening because there's a range for the id to be same, okay, which is between -5 to 256. Please note this, that within this range -5 to 256, okay, I'll just scroll up. uh, Sorry, -5 to 256, this is the range where integers are going to have the same id. Clear? Any number beyond 256, like 257, 258, anything starting from 256 is not going to share the same id. Clear? It's not going to share the same id. So what exactly happens is, now the values are stored in different memory locations, right? From this value, from 257, values are going to be stored from different locations. So now if you do a is b, it's going to be false. It's no longer the same value, so it's going to be false. As simple as that. A equals to b is never going to be, or it is going to be same. Let's see. What do you think? Just take a pause and think. A is b is false. So if a equals to b is also going to be false? No, my dear. Why would it be false? Because using the equal to operator, the equal to is a relational operator, right? Relational operator. Okay, so equal to checks or compares the values. So this is true, correct? So in this case, the value is going to be true. So if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button, like this video, share this video, and do let me know how easy was it for you to understand this topic. And also let me know your views, or any questions, any doubts, anything, just put it in the comment box, right? So thank you for watching and subscribe.